Hello everyone, welcome to the Be Bright session classes. Today we are going to talk about a new topic which is Azure Virtual Desktop. As you can see on my screen, I just created one small architecture diagram to explain. But before we go through this architecture diagram, let's understand what Microsoft says about Azure Virtual Desktop or AVD. Right now, why AVD? It gives you the sort of multi-session Windows experience, sort of centralized management and scalability, secure and compliant remote access. So that means you don't need to go into the portal itself or open the VM or giving a RDP over a public IP, or you are creating a bash and service. Fine. And as an administrator, it's very easy to manage one machine, right, in the background. Now, we understand that, okay, there is a browser and we can open the desktop, but why AVD? Why we should choose that? So let's try to understand by another example. Let's suppose in your company for a particular project, you have 20 employees working on a particular project, or 20 engineers working on a project. So they need 20 machines, right, just to work on. Rather than giving them 20 machines, what AVD does here, that it in front of user, they are getting a desktop on the browser and they are working on it, even though in the background they don't know that it's a one machine which is working for multiple users, right? So that saves the cost as well, and the user experience. Now let's go through this diagram and try to understand how it works. So as I said, there is an internet, or you are sitting anywhere in the world and you have a particular device which is a desktop, laptop, or a tablet, and you open a particular URL, right? I'll show you what URL it is, but it's a public URL given by Microsoft, which you open it, it gives you a sort of interface, and therefrom you connect to a proper AVD control plane. Now what it does basically, it checks the credential by which you are logging in the AVD browser, if that is having some sort of access, right, in the Azure for a particular workspace given by your administrator, then it will show you that AVD stuff. Now maybe it's too technical right now, but I'll show you everything one by one. What application groups you are in, that means it could be desktop application group, it could be a remote app group. So based on that, it will show you all those applications, right? I'll show you that as well. And behind the scene, ultimately they are session host. When we say session host, that means all those VMs running in Azure, right? That's coming as a desktop or showing you a remote application. Fine. And those VMs are running on a particular subnet under a virtual network. This some sort of small AVD architecture, right? There are a lot of Microsoft documents which tells you about how it works, like understanding Azure Virtual Desktop network connectivity. As I was telling you, like there is a public internet and there is a web client by which you are connecting with the Active Directory. Like you are getting authenticated with the Active Directory and then going into the uh, remote desktop browser, which shows you, okay, if you have a workspace or a application group and whatever uh, workspace you have and application group you have, based on that, if you have any particular session hosts, then the remote desktop gateway ultimately connect with that session host. So you will be able to see the desktop running in the session host. Okay. and it tells you about the whole history about Azure Virtual Network.